We're back. Happy New Year. Happy 2023. Wow, what a beginning I have had, I have to say. I have been MIA. For those that may have noticed, I was writing a book, you guys. I finally did it. I finally finished the book, and it went live January 1st. And so therefore that explains my absence on the podcasts. And for that, I deeply apologize. As you know, I love doing these and connecting with all of you. But unfortunately, one of the downsides of being a one-woman operation is that it's just me. I am the only one doing everything when it comes to writing, producing, recording, editing. And therefore, I had to put some things on hold. I had to put some pins and things that I could come back to later while I focused all of my energy on finishing this book. A lesson I learned, that we can't do all of the things all at once. We have to pick and choose. And unfortunately, this was one that I had to put a pause on. But the book is out and I am back. And it feels good to be back. I hope you guys all had an amazing New Year's, a safe New Year's, a wonderful holiday. How was 2022 for you guys? Yeah, for me, it was... Wow, it was a roller coaster, I'm not going to lie. It was exciting. At the same time, it was nerve-wracking. And oh my gosh, all the feels, all the emotions I was experiencing while writing this book, they all came flooding into my frontal cortex. And I was thinking and feeling and in all of it at the same time. And now that it is done, well, at least the writing publishing part is done, I get to shift gears and move into the marketing and promotional side of it, which I'm pretty sure that's going to show up new emotions and feelings. So we'll see how this goes. But I am excited that I get to do it with all of you. Your support, love, and encouragement has really given me, oh gosh, all the inspiration and motivation that I needed when there was times that I was like, what am I doing? Who am I to do this? And so I wanted to share with you a chapter in my book. I thought this would be a fun way to kick off my self-tour, my self-promoting tour of my book, It's Not About the Banana. Yeah, the book, It's Not About the Banana. It's the 5-step method to stop living other people's lies and start living your truth. And I thought the best way to begin this journey is sharing one of the chapters with you. Many people have, thank you so much, have already purchased the book, and it's probably en route coming to your home, or maybe it's arriving today. And I just can't thank you enough for that. You have no idea how amazing that feels and how loved I feel knowing that the work I did and put out there, people are receiving it and promoting and supporting me. And that just means the world to me. And when you get into the book, you'll have a new understanding of just how hard and difficult it was to write this book, and why it matters so much to me that it is now in your home and in your hands. So when I was looking at the book and trying to figure out, okay, what chapter am I going to pick out of all the chapters? What chapter am I going to pick? And I thought the best chapter is a chapter titled, It's Not About Self Sabotage. The book is broken up into 2 parts. This is in the second part, which is in the stories. The first part of the book is really going through the 5-step method. And then the second part is the stories, where I share a little bit about my own life and how I used those experiences and the steps together to really uncover the lies I had been living and reveal the truth that I was denying. And self-sabotage was the word that kept coming up. People talk about self-sabotage so much, like I lost my home because of this. I lost my job, my family. I can never get ahead. I can never, see anything through. I always sabotage it. And that really just didn't sit well with me, because I couldn't believe that we would be capable of hurting ourselves intentionally. And then it dawned on me that it's not self-sabotage. And so I wrote this chapter and I developed a new perspective and I want to share it with you. And I would love to hear your feedback. So please, after listening to this podcast, feel free to comment, reach out, share, let me know what you think. So chapter 7 is titled, It's Not About Self Sabotage, and I'm just going to read it with you. The core underlining message in this book is about recovering from identity sabotage. We have been living a life based on untruths and have adopted these unsafe beliefs as our identity. Looking at our life through new perspective lenses, we can see a new reality based on truth. Without these lenses, we see a hard, unfair world determined to restrain us. We view life as a struggle and become victims of an environment we manifest in our minds. The matrix mind is where ego wants us to live. The always striving yet never arriving mentality deprives us of joy, gratitude, and fulfillment in life. We live only in the past while fearing our future, never living in the present. We consume, compete, and compare while never measuring up to the matrix mind of more. Should have, would have, could have become our mantra. I should have done this. I could have done that. If only they would have done this. We compete instead of complement. We compare instead of connect. We consume instead of being content. Our identity has been sabotaged by ego. The ego is fueled by doubt, leaving us with a self-worth deficiency. This deficiency begins to crave what the ego seeks, and we become addicted to feeding it. Our true self resources have been stripped, leaving us deprived. Just as cancer feeds on sugar, the ego feeds on fear. The more we give it, the stronger it gets. Saying we self-sabotage is eating at Willy Wonka's chocolate factory. Self-sabotage is a secret ingredient. To better understand identity sabotage, we must first understand the ego. My favorite definition of ego is from Wayne Dyer: edging God out. Having a spiritual connection is the breath of life. To breathe in this power greater than yourself gives you life. Many people struggle with this power being God. It may be from past experiences, religion, or what you've been fed to believe. All I know is that the planet was made for us to thrive. This world's natural forces and resources work with us and through us. The same forces that makes the earth rotate and the tides of the ocean turn are also working for you. If you struggle to find a higher power, I encourage you to meditate on something Matthew Perry shared in his interview with Diane Sawyer. Paraphrasing, if you think we are the power, try making a wave stop or a plant. Forget trying to make it grow. Can you make the plant? The energy of Mother Nature is a power greater than you. Trees taller and more powerful than you provide the oxygen you breathe, as you give the carbon dioxide it needs. When we are in flow with source energy, we are all one. The ego speaks the loudest when it feels threatened. Removing the truth is the only way it can continue living its lie. God is truth. By removing God, we become spiritually bankrupt and desperate, leaving us susceptible to sabotage. We cling to whatever gives us power, even if that power drains us. Ego is that power. The ego takes on many forms and wears many hats. Jealousy, the belief that we are to have all that we desire. We become jealous of those who have more of what we think we deserve. This emotion separates us from our truth and each other. Pride a disconnect to spiritual growth that prevents us from sharing. Envy, reinforced unsafe beliefs that if we don't measure up to the ones we set our bar to, we are not as worthy as they are. Hate, the fuel that feeds envy. Fear, a measuring stick of our worth provided to us by the ego. Doubt, reinforced unsafe beliefs on the measuring stick of fear. Victim, the house where ego lives and wants us to unpack. The longer we live there, the more mail we get saying we belong. Victimhood becomes our new address. Greed, the matrix mind's highway to hell. Righteousness, the need to prove our dominance over others, believing this power gives us worth. Unworthiness, the landlord to victimhood. Symptoms of the ego. We confuse ego with confidence, ending up conceited. We play God. We believe we know best and have all the power to control or manipulate people, places, and things. Discrimination, isolation, alienation. Side effects of ego? We feel lost, alone, and without purpose. We see ourselves as victims. Burnout, depression, anxiety, addiction, feelings of deficiency. To say we self-sabotage implies we know ourselves. But if we knew who we were, we would know we are incapable of sabotage. Self-sabotage is the CEO of the ego, creating ego overflow. It will stop at nothing to provide enough evidence to prove you are either better than or less than. Its only job is to create a surplus of resources to supply the demands set by the ego, where our soul self says, I am not more than or less than. I simply am. You were born for a reason. You have a purpose. Everything on this planet serves a purpose, including you. We are all part of this magnificent world specifically designed with unique talents, gifts, and messages to share. Who are we to say which one is more valuable than the other? As a collective, we are all equally vital to the universal mission. What is this mission? As spiritual beings having a human experience, each mission is exclusive to the person having the experience. That being said, the purpose is to evolve through love. You are perfectly created with everything you needed to grow. The universe provides all the ingredients to nurture and promote your transformation. With its power, it supports you. Every breath you take from source energy brings life to your purpose. How do you breathe in source energy? Meditation is the pathway to peace and a direct line of communication to source energy. Set the intention on your breathing to connect while envisioning its presence surrounding you. Every mindful inhale fills your soul with this divine presence, expelling the ego on the exhale. Picture loving white light entering your body as the heavy darkness leaves it on the out-breath. While continuing this visual breathing exercise, begin to repeat this mantra. Heal what is broken. Restore what is forgotten. Awaken my power within. The more you practice this technique, the lighter you will start to feel. This cleansing exercise promotes balance and restores clarity. The more aligned we become, the easier it is to connect and stay connected. Throughout the day, you may notice a shift occurring, pulling you back to your ego's will. When this happens, pause, breathe, and repeat. I realign with you in mind. This will break up the static trying to disconnect you and bring you back into alignment with source energy. The next time you feel your ego trying to sabotage your identity, repeat the visual breathing meditation and mantra. You'll soon discover the power it once had over you weakens as your truth breaks through. The past stays in the past, and the future reveals itself in its proper time as we ground ourselves in the present, receiving its gifts. These gifts come in all different forms and experiences and can only be acquired in the present. Although you may not open all the gifts immediately, you'll begin to see why they were given to you when the time is right. Story time. So in my chapters, most of them will have an intro and then a story, tying it all together. I hope you enjoyed the story. This one was a fun one to write. Sitting in my car full of fear of what I was about to walk into, I slowly found my way to the door. I was a single mom with 2 children, soon to be twice divorced, and I was about to open the doors to our new home for the first time. Just a few months earlier, I was crying in the living room, feeling sorry for myself that my 3-month marriage was over. The kids were at their dad's and I was alone once again. However, I was never by myself. I always had my new best friend Chardonnay by my side. She came into my life in my late 20s and had a unique way of making me feel safe. As we sat together in that living room, I tried to make my own. I felt a peace come over me. Up to this point, I was barely surviving. But thanks to denial, I could not see it. I didn't own the house I tried to make my home. It belonged to my estranged husband. While drinking my wine and listening to music, which is disguised as your companion but really encourages self-pity, much like my new best friend Chardonnay, I felt calm. I knew I had to make a move, but felt powerless over how. This calm was not the same calm I would feel 3 glasses in. This calm was peace. I stopped writing in my journal, which was now covered in smeared ink from my toxic tears, and began to pray. Desperate to escape the misery I was drowning in, I asked God for help. The background noise faded as my awareness focused on the energy filling the room. This energy whispered to me, "Buy your own damn house." What a crazy thought to entertain. How could I buy my own home? What sick joke is the universe trying to play? Did they not know who I was? I was a single mother with 2 children, working a job that barely paid the bills. My credit was shot and I had no savings. I was pretty sure this idea of me buying a home was just another delusional daydream and not part of my plan anytime soon, if ever. Except, as I cried myself to sleep that night, the idea of having a home of my own grew stronger. Suddenly, that crazy idea didn't sound so crazy. Despite what my ego was trying to tell me, I decided to call my girlfriend, who just happened to be a real estate agent. I told her my insane idea of buying my own home, expecting her to agree, but she didn't. She thought it was a brilliant idea and wondered what had taken me so long. Hurdle after hurdle were cleared with plenty of room to spare, and before I knew it, I was pre-approved for my own home loan. One of the biggest hurdles was my source of income. Shortly after deciding to shoot for the moon, I was promoted with a salary made for 2. The down payment came from a few unlikely sources that appeared out of thin air, and my credit score was just where it needed to be approved for that loan. It was like the universe was giving me the house. Oh yes, the house. We need to find the house. Determined to keep my kids in the same school, my search was limited to a specific zip code. And after a few searches, we found her. She was perfect. Not too big, not too small, and exactly the price point I needed. We put in the offer and it was immediately accepted. One step closer. Then the day came when I was invited to sign my life away, and I panicked. My heart was racing, fueled with fear. This was where the truth would all come out. I was an imposter. I could see my future flashing before my eyes while I waited for the loan officer to tell me the gig was up. But she didn't. I thought at least I can put off telling my kids that the rooms they picked out will not be theirs to unpack for another day. But that day never came. There I was, sitting in my car with the actual keys to that house. My house. Walking up to that front porch, fear flooded my mind with doubt. I still couldn't believe that they had let me walk off with the keys. Yet there I was, about to unlock the door to my dreams. I walked through that house as an owner, not a guest. Yet every day I felt like an intruder. Sure, I painted the walls, decorated the house with family photos and cute signs that said blessed, home sweet home, and welcome. But deep down inside, I knew it wouldn't last. My ego was hardwired to struggle. My self-worth deficiency began to crave what my ego sought, and I was addicted to feeding it. That was all I ever knew. It was comfortable, it was safe, and that was my one true home. Little by little, my actions began to match my unsafe beliefs once again. My drinking increased, my work performance declined, and almost all of my relationships fell stagnant. I wanted nothing more than to have what was right in front of me. To say I self-sabotage what I desperately sought and fought for is a lie. My authentic self, my soul self, manifested itself into what my ego self was trying to take away. My true identity was stolen and replaced with an imposter committing fraud daily. I quit my job before I could lose it and fell behind on my mortgage payments. Every fraudulent transaction bought me a false sense of security that reinforced my unsafe beliefs. With my true self hijacked, I was subconsciously attempting to ensure I failed to allow another alibi as proof of my erroneous beliefs. However, the universe had other plans. When our free will wanders off too far from home, our higher power will step in to alter our course. Fortunately, it does not present itself with neon flashing lights saying turn here. Most times, it's a dead end or a flat tire that stops us in our tracks. Yes, fortunately. We grow through what we go through. Therefore, the universe will not always give us a free hand up. Unlike the hand up it gave me to buy my home, this time it would make me fight to keep it. Realizing my own ego's demise, I began to reflect on all the events that led me to own the keys that opened that door. Thankfully, just because our identity has been sabotaged doesn't mean our soul self is dead. I could tap into my inner intelligence long enough to see where I had veered off. I became a spectator to the S show I was once again trying to manifest into reality. My actions mirrored someone I knew I was not. My soul self and my ego self were at war. When we awaken to our truth, we will stop at nothing to redeem it. The truth and the lie were exposed. Truth? I deserved that home and all the rights to call it my own. Versus lie? I am unworthy because of the things I have done. I don't deserve to be happy. I had two choices. Eat the banana or die. Now, because I am reading a chapter in this story, you have not been given the preface to my eat the banana or die statement. I say eat the banana or die because the banana represents truth and the die represents the lie. And when we continue to live a lie, we are slowly dying inside spiritually, mentally, which then can sometimes physically hurt us. So I had two choices: eat the banana or die. Like any addiction, it only has power over us when we choose to give it our power. And my self-worth deficiency was about to be restored. The less I fed the ego what it craved, the stronger I became. I am not a victim of my circumstances, regardless of who and how they were created. I survived 100% of the time my ego tried to take me out. My track record was all the proof I needed. I chose to eat the banana. I reached out for help, and once again, the shift shapers appeared. In another chapter, you will learn about what shift shapers are. Of course, you will still have to do the hard work and heavy lifting. It's not a free ride, but it is a joyride when you suit up and show up. And maybe buckle up. It can get a little bumpy. Recovery from identity sabotage does not give you a free pass either. You'll have to eat a lot of humble pie, right wrongs, and clean up your side of the street regardless. It gives you the power to move ahead with purpose and humility. Asking for help can be one of the hardest things to do when our identity has been sabotaged by the ego. Our unsafe beliefs that we must never show weakness or vulnerability only blocks us from our truth. When we let go of the ego and surrender to humility, we find strength and solutions. It was in admitting my wrongs that they were made right. I was given a clear pathway to move forward with grace and humble pride. There is nothing wrong with having pride in your work, your accomplishments, or sharing stories of your growth and promotions. Celebrating our successes and experiences is what makes life enjoyable and connection meaningful. Sharing is caring when we are sharing for the right reasons. The ego speaks to be seen and listens to talk, whereas our truth speaks to feel seen and listens to understand. And in another chapter, you'll understand what feel seen means. People enjoy hearing about our accomplishments because they know how much we care. When we lead with love and push pride aside, our stories lift others up, not tear them down. I've learned that your home is where you decide to reside and root. It's not a status symbol or an asset, nor is your job, title, or bank account. I eventually moved out of that house, renting it to some wonderful families to create their own memories while I made new ones where I live today. You are an asset, and your value is priceless. This chapter then ends with a meditation for letting go of the ego, and then also has some essential oils for letting go that you can use in your meditation or just use throughout the day that help you learn to let go. So that is one of the many chapters in the book. It's Not About the Banana, the 5-step method to stop living other people's lies and start living your truth. And as I did little side notes there and reading that chapter, there's some great information in there that kind of breaks down the steps, and as you're going through the steps, you're learning and healing and growing so that it all makes sense. But there's 18 chapters in total, and I just can't wait to share more of them with you. And I think maybe we'll do another based off of you guys and what chapters you liked the most, and maybe you want to hear a little bit more about it, and then we can start to break down the 5-step method on the podcasts together, because that is what this is all about. It's about sharing the sameness that we both experience and not feeling isolated or separate, because we are all in this together, and when we disconnect, we cannot see the beauty in community together that we can have and experience and share, and love. That's what it's all about. I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. This special podcast kind of went off on a different path. But, I don't think we really have a specific outline guideline because this is our podcast. We can do whatever we want, right? Anyways, thank you so much for tuning in today. If you liked what you heard, you can purchase the book. It's Not About the Banana. You can go to the Soul Shack Sisters website. There's a page there that will give you links to purchase through Amazon, Barnes & Noble. Call your stores and tell them, get the book in the store, because right now it is just online. And then, if the book sells well, then they might see that they want to put it inside the stores too. So call the stores and say, you need to get this book in the stores. I can't do this without you. And I dedicated this book to the underdogs. I'm an underdog here and self-published and out there doing what I can because I know my message is important and it matters, and that there are people out there that need to hear it, that need help to recover from identity sabotage, from addictions, from depression and anxiety. There's just too much icky going out there, but there's so much more good. We just need to connect the good to the icky so that we can help connect these people to a solution and a purpose and be the light. So thank you so much for being a part of this journey and helping me do that. I can't wait to record another podcast and hear what you guys think. Love you. Until then, love and light, ignite.